Webster's going to leave us in about 15 minutes. I will get to the calls that are holding. There's so many other issues I want to get into. I want to go over the decade of tyranny. No doubt, in modern history, the last decade has been an incredible time of corruption. And yes, I know technically the decade isn't over for another year, but the media started the millennium in 2000. They started the new century in 2000. That's like starting 10 at 9 or, 21 at 20. But the point is, the last 10 years has been an incredible time of tyranny, but also a big time of awakening as the global banking empire tries to suck the last juices out of the United States to fund its tyrannical program. All right, Webster, what do you see happening on the military front? I mean, you said war, through proxies, through destabilization campaigns, through funding rebel groups. What do you see domestically happening? Where do you see all this going as they try to tell us we've had a jobless recovery? What do you see happening?
Well, let me cite a couple of predictions coming from others that I think are probably worthy of being considered. Remember the old Able Danger group in the DIA? We had this Colonel Anthony Schaefer. If you remember this was Congressman Kurt Weldon, Republican of Pennsylvania, brought out this guy, Colonel Schaefer, and started to talk about Able Danger. And the idea was, of course, that they had identified Atta and company well before 9/11, but they had these Post-it notes saying, don't tell the FBI or don't tell anybody about this guy. My view has always been that Able Danger were not hunting for terrorists. They were supervising terrorists. In other words, they were patsy minders, patsy monitors, patsy chaperones. They were making sure that Atta and company kept within the bounds of what they were supposed to do, right? That they attacked, when and what was wanted. Anyway, Colonel Schaefer was on the Jerry Doyle radio talk show yesterday. This guy's sort of a moderate reactionary to neocon. And Colonel Schaefer basically said, well, we haven't connected the dots again, right? We don't connect the dots. The agencies don't talk to each other. It's all bureaucracy. The usual nonsense, right, to hide the obvious fact that these are protected patsies.
Punish us with more power and funds and get rid of your whole Bill of Rights, slit your wrist, feed the blood directly into our mouths, and maybe we'll save you from the deadly underwear bomber.
Right. So Colonel Schaefer says, I don't think we'll ever wake up until a 10-kiloton bomb goes off in an American city. So that's his view of the years ahead. I would also add, it doesn't have to necessarily be in the U.S. There are some signs that might suggest someplace else. Of course, Europe is always a big field of activity, and if the goal is to get more European troops and more European money for places like Afghanistan, play Europe against Afghanistan and Pakistan, then that's certainly a possibility. As you say, the absurdity of the bureaucratic position is basically the more we fail, the more power we demand. And I would suggest the following. Janet Napolitano, alias Totalitariano, alias Incompetano, she should be fired or she should quit. We don't know whether she's incompetent or whether she's complicit, and we don't want to wait to find out. We want to get her out. Hillary Clinton at the State Department failed to pull the visa for this guy. Should be fired or made to quit. Leon Panetta at the CIA should be fired or made to quit because...
But instead, we reward failure because they're really not failing. They pulled off a great false flag.
Let me finish my list. Dennis Blair, the intelligence czar, the head of the National Counterterrorism Center that couldn't get this patsy's name onto the no-fly list, fire him. James Jones, the head of the National Security Council, overall responsible for all this stuff.
We'll punish him with more power. Stay there.
Resigned. And I have one other.
Go ahead.
That's John Brennan, Obama's in-house White House security advisor. Brennan, fire him too.
No. We'll teach him. We'll give him more power because they really did a great job. I mean, we're not going to fire them for more drugs being on the street. That's their job.